Very pleased to welcome into the program LA Kings radio analyst on KBAC 790 AM. You can follow him on Twitter at Daryl Evans 15. It is the legendary Daryl Evans. And Daryl, in the 4 seasons since the LA Kings have won the Stanley Cup, they have missed the playoffs twice, but made the playoffs twice, including last year. Now, they only have won a single game in those 2 playoff appearances. And for me, the Kings, with their success, especially as of late, do not seem like they're a franchise that is just happy to be there in the big dance, are they?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Not content without having playoff success. Getting there, it is a challenge. It's a challenge for everybody. Even if you win the Stanley Cup, coming back the next year and getting into the playoffs is not a given. It's something that you really have to earn with the parity in the National Hockey League. The Kings making it back to the postseason last year, especially after changing the general manager, changing the coach, I think it was an accomplishment in one factor. They changed the way they played the game. They approached it with a little bit more of an offensive type of mindset, and they were able to add to their overall offense. And I think when you look at that playoff series against the Golden Knights, it was a great series, but the Kings could not find a way to win. I think, at the beginning of the series, if you would have said the Kings in almost 5 games of hockey were going to allow only 7 goals against, you probably would have said they were going to sweep the Golden Knights, and, it went the other way. The Kings only scored a total of 3 goals. So you're not going to win, enough games with just 3 goals. And I think the Kings understand that they need to address their offense. They've got to get some consistency, be it they did miss Jeff Carter last year almost for the entire season. And Tyler Toffoli didn't get to the numbers he needs to be at. Tanner Pearson, he needs to, contribute a little bit more offensively. So if they can get those guys back in the fold, and then the addition of Ilya Kovalchuk, I think the Kings, with the style that they're playing right now, they should be able to add to that offense, be a little bit more efficient and consistent on the power play, and they should find a way to be able to win those tight games. But, the defensive structure's there. It won them a couple of Stanley Cups over, a period of a few years, and they'll continue to keep playing that style, making the subtle adjustments, adding the offensive play to their game.
Well, and, you look at this LA Kings team, and they have the 3 pillars of strength that every team would love to have. A stud center in Ilya Kopitar, a Norris caliber defenseman in Drew Doughty, and an all-star goalie in Jonathan Quick. And now I guess it's up to Rod Blake to build around that, and we'll talk about Ilya Kovalchuk in a second. But do you think he was taking that first year to just really assess what he had and then make changes?
Yeah, I think, a good general manager, a good coach, before you make all those drastic changes, I think, you want to get a better understanding as to what you have. I think, collectively as a group with Luc Robitaille, Rob Blake, and John Stevens, the coach, I think they sat down and, they discussed how they wanted the team to play and whether or not they could get the personnel that they had in place to play that way. So I think for the most part, I think they feel pretty comfortable with that. I think in, the guys that we saw, for the first time last year, the Kempes, the Iafalos, I think those guys lead to the direction that the Kings are moving in the next, the next couple of years in the next phase. They're looking to be a more offensive, a quicker team, right from the defensive zone. They're looking to attack up the middle of the ice, and in order to do that, you've got to skate better. So the Kings have been notorious as a big, heavy, hard-to-play-against team. Now they've had to add a little bit of speed and a little bit of skill to that, and it's something that you can't do overnight. So I think you have to respect, the patience that Rob Blake and the organization have and the path that they're taking. But I think when you see, the leadership transfer to that next core, within 3 to 4 years, be it the Toffolis, the Pearsons, the Kempes, maybe the Villardis and these type of players, maybe a guy like Brickley on defense that, these guys will be able to, take the torch from the Kopitars, the Carters, the Browns, the Doughties, Martinez, and Muzzins, and, continue pushing it with that offensive flair. So we'll see where it goes, but I think the Kings, like a lot of teams in the NHL right now, are looking to play the game with a little bit more pace and also to be able to, utilize everybody in the lineup. I think that's one of the things that led to the great success of the Golden Knights last year was their ability to be able to, play 4 lines on a night-to-night basis, whether you're at home, on the road, regardless of who you're playing against, and they wore teams down with the pace that they played at.
Daryl Evans is a LA Kings radio analyst for KBAC 790 a.m. Follow him on Twitter at Daryl Evans 15. And Ilya Kopitar always had success right from his rookie season. He did have one 84-point season coming into last year, but certainly took his game to a new level. 7th in NHL scoring, cracked the 90-point plateau for the first time. Not only was he mentioned for the Selke, and rightfully so, but also he was talked about for the Hart Trophy at times last year. What did he do? He's always been strong defensively on that side of the game. What did he do offensively last year in your mind to take his game to that highest level?
Well, I think, reading right off the bat, the absence of Jeff Carter right from the get-go, I think Kopitar is a smart enough player to take a look at the lineup and recognize that he was really going to have to step his game up because he couldn't put that on the shoulders of some of the younger players. And to his credit, he found a level that I think the Kings thought that he had, but maybe because of not having Carter there, he played a little bit more of a selfish game and kind of took charge a little bit. And that's something that you want to see with a guy that has that type of skill set continue to keep doing. He's got to pave the way. He makes everybody better with everything that he does on the ice, whether he's passing the puck, whether he's attacking and shooting. He's going to get the the respect and the attention of the opposition, and that creates more space for everybody on the ice. But it's really remarkable the numbers that he put up last year, considering that regardless of where the Kings played, whether it was at home or on the road, when the opposition looked at the Kings, it was a pretty easy matchup because, let's face it, every team in the NHL right now is, at least two solid guys deep up the middle of the ice, and the Kings really only had, Kopitar doing that. So, he still found a way to be able to put those numbers together, and it was a great year for him, a career high with the points, as you mentioned, but he's just been a great two-way player throughout his entire career, very responsible at both ends of the rink, and credit that a little bit to Terry Murray when Terry Murray was, coaching him when, Kopitar first came over, that wanted to make sure he played the game the right way, played a complete 200-foot game, and he just continues to keep getting better and better each and every day that he steps on the ice.
Well, you mentioned earlier how the Kings unbelievably could not score in the playoffs. And, well, neither team really scored a whole lot, like you mentioned in that series with the Golden Knights, but certainly the Kings had trouble. And they go out and they get a proven past NHL scorer in Ilya Kovalchuk. 3-year deal, $6.25 million per season. His last full year in the NHL, he did score 37 goals and 83 points. That was 6 years ago. What are realistic expectations for Kovalchuk in LA this year?
Well, assuming, and again, this is only my own opinion, that he starts off in a line with Kopitar and Brown. I think Kovalchuk still got a lot left in the tank. He's a big guy, skates well, he's got great hockey sense, he's got a world-class shot. And I think the factor that really comes into place, he's a player that wants to win a Stanley Cup, something that he hasn't been able to accomplish throughout his career yet. Liken him a little bit towards a Patrick Marleau that went to Toronto last year. Marleau, a few years older, went out and had an outstanding year in Toronto, and I don't think there's any reason to believe that that Kovalchuk cannot have that type of year. I mean, he's going to be a guy that's going to thrive on the power play. He's going to get on the ice with a guy like Kopitar or Carter in a lot of situations, Drew Doughty back in the blue line. So he's going to be given every opportunity to do what the Kings are looking for him to do, and that's put the puck in the back of the net. So I think to say that he should not get 25 goals easily, I think that's the floor for him, and who knows where the ceiling is. I mean, we'll see what happens when the chemistry on the ice between the players, whoever he's playing with, how it comes together. But he's got the potential to be able to put more pucks in the net. I mean, he's reached that 40-goal plateau a number of times as well, and I still think at the end of the day, he's here to win. He's not looking to put up 80 goals and not make the playoffs. I think he'd be happy with 20 goals and take his team deep in the playoffs. So we're going to see what he's got, but I think he's an excited player to come. He had a number of opportunities to go to different places. Probably could have gotten more money in different places, but I think he understood that the platform that he has here, an opportunity to be able to win immediately, and I think that's what likened his choice to come to Los Angeles.
We are setting up the LA Kings with Daryl Evans, Kings radio analyst on KBAC 790 AM. Follow him on Twitter at Daryl Evans 15. And you mentioned Dustin Brown. What a bounce back season! 5 years before that, he never broke 36 was the highest point total, and then he rebounds with 61 points. How did he discover the fountain of youth, or rediscover his game, or whatever you want to phrase it? How did he do it?
Well, to Dustin's credit, Dustin's a player that he is really in tune with his body. Very diligent with the workouts that he puts together in the off season, the things that he knows he needs to work on in order to succeed in playing in today's game. I think the big thing is the personnel that he's playing on the ice with. I think the last couple of years, prior to this season, he was playing. I don't want to say a lesser role, but he was down in the third line, second line, third line, and not as a prominent factor. Not playing on the number one power play unit. He and Kopitar have built and have a great chemistry. They've got great history together. So I think reuniting the two of them last year, and John Stevens had talked to Brown and Kopitar before the season started, and he recognized marrying these guys back together that if he could get that chemistry out of them, it would pay dividends for the hockey club, and it surely showed. I think the results, Dustin Brown, the numbers that he put up, I think gives him a lot of encouragement getting into this season. He's excited to play again, and rightfully so. He should have. The balance, the scoring should be a little bit more balanced now. With you're really adding Carter and Kovalchuk to the lineup, so you're adding potentially two more 30-goal scorers that the opposition's got to pay a little more attention to. So it should open things up for him. But I expect Dustin Brown to do as he's done throughout his career. He just like Kopitar, I think they both sacrifice numbers to be good team players and doing the right things, very responsible on the defensive side of the puck, and that's why the Kings were able to capture a couple of Stanley Cup championships, because they were led by their best players at that time.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jeff Carter. I just when he's not in the lineup, it's very well known because not only does he score a lot of goals, but he's also a veteran and provides some stability along with Tyler Toffoli and Tanner Pearson, that 70s line. Okay, on the back end, we obviously have Drew Doughty and Jake Muzzin, who are just a great combination. Who's the key after that? Is it Alex Martinez? Is it Dion Phaneuf? Is it Forbert that maybe steps up? Is it somebody I'm not even talking about? Who is the key defenseman after that first pairing of Doughty and Muzzin?
Well, I think when you look at the emergence of Derek Forbert last year, and he played primarily alongside Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty's got the ability to make anybody that he plays with better, and I think he showed that. Derek Forbert was a questionable every night player, but I think the Kings as an organization, were able to learn a lot about his play, playing him with Doughty. So I think now they know that Forbert can play. They could probably play him up and down within the three pairings. Jake Muzzin has showed that he can play with Drew Doughty. He showed that he can play with other guys as well. I think the key player here is Alec Martinez. His ability to be able to play both the left and right side. He can play on your first pair. He can play on your third pair. You go back to when the Kings were winning cups. He was playing alongside, guys like Matt Green and that. And he's a great skater. He excels in today's game. Got great vision, great hockey sense. Shoots the puck extremely well. So I think he's the guy that really can be the difference maker. I think the Kings have a few options to look at when it comes to training camp. Brickley, who came up last year, played one game at the end of the season. A big mobile type of defenseman, shoots the puck well, with good hockey sense and vision. So they're going to get a good look at him. Paul Ledoux's at the stage in his career. They got to understand where they are with him. He's a right-handed shot. And then Fantenberg, who got a glorious opportunity when the Kings, Doughty was suspended in the playoffs. Muzzin was hurt. Forbert was hurt, and he played in the mid 40 minutes in a game that had they went to 5 periods. So I think the Kings are looking to have him get a good look at. He also is a versatile player that can play both the left and right. But I think the Kings are a little bit more mobile back in the blue line than maybe they were in the past. They added Dion Phaneuf last year, and I think if they can utilize Phaneuf in the fashion where they don't extend his minutes, I think Phaneuf can be a very effective player as he was, especially early on when the Kings acquired him. And I think if they can manage him around that 16, 18 minutes per game, I think he's a very effective player. He obviously knows the league well. He's got a lot of respect around the league, and he shoots, he's got a cannon that comes off his stick. So I think the Kings have a nice blend there, but it'd be nice this year to see, the young guys, whether it be a Brickley, a Forbert, Fantenberg, those guys take their game, just up a notch, and that would take a little bit of pressure off the veteran guys, the Doughties, Martinez, Muzzins, and the Phaneufs.
Well, Daryl, we know one thing, as we mentioned, Kopitar, Doughty, and Quick, along with the pieces that we talked about, give this team a chance to make the playoffs every year. It's just a matter of how far they're going to go. Thanks very much for joining us in this Friday evening. Enjoy what little time we have left before we're in the rinks. Well, we're probably in the rinks already because rookie camps have started up here anyway. Thanks very much for your time tonight.
Always a pleasure, guys. Look forward to catching up with you during the season.